Hello, YouTube. So, today I'm going to talk about a very controversial issue that many who have looked into the Bible come across, and it's the issue of rape. And if you read the Bible, there's a verse that says if a woman is raped who's married, then her rapist is put to death. But if the woman wasn't married, then the rapist would have to marry the woman for until their deaths, or at least without the option of divorce, must take care of the woman. And there's another verse that goes on to say that only this process can only take place if the woman's father agrees to these arrangements. And anyways, the rapist would have to pay the father 50 shekels of silver, and I mean, it would be up to him, the father, as to whether or not he wants to marry his daughter to this man. Now, this might sound very cruel to a woman if we look at our culture as we see it now. But what you need to realize is that our culture is significantly different from the culture of the Hebrew people. So before I go on, I wanted to say that this piece of scripture is particularly a contract of a law made with God by the Israelites, by the Israel people. So this law doesn't apply to everybody. This only applies to God's chosen people at that time. And, well, they still are his people in a way. And so this only applies to people who believe in God and who are part of the Hebrew society. So these arrangements are like society law. They're a law in the society. So let's go ahead and look at their cultural context, the cultural context of these arrangements. So there is a verse in the Bible where there's a woman, I can't remember her name right now, but she was raped. She was raped by her cousin, I believe. And even though she was raped by her cousin, she felt obligated to marry her cousin because she was defiled. She valued her virginity. Women of that age, they all valued their virginity, and they believed in a philosophical sense that they were to marry the person who they had intercourse with because they become as one flesh. And to not do so would be a dishonor unto them. So you have to realize that many of these women really did want to marry whoever they had sex with first. And they were less superficial than we are today. I mean, back in that time, they weren't very wealthy like we are, and they didn't have the luxury to decide who they would marry. In fact, many women were married around 12, 13, and 14 to men to secure their future, their financial future, as well as the future of their children. So they were less superficial and less able, they didn't have that luxury to just pick any man as their fiancé. So in a case where a woman or a girl wasn't married and she was raped, her rapist would have to take care of her for the rest of her life. She could be however she wanted to be. She could be a very cruel wife, and she could go out on him and whatnot, but he wouldn't have the luxury to divorce her because he defiled her. I guess that's the word I'm trying to look for. He defiled her. And the thing is, men of that time were they didn't want a wife who has already been defiled by another man. And I guess you can see that even today in today's society, you can see some men, they're concerned with how many men their woman has laid with. They're concerned by their partner as to how many men they had sex with, because there's just something not right about it. You know, to us who see sex as something special between a man and a woman, to have a wife or a boyfriend who's had sex with a bunch of people, it just devalues our ideals of a sexual relationship with the one who we were to spend our rest of our lives with and build a family with, and a foundation for our future children. So, but they were more strict back then, you know, and they're not like us today. They were more strict. They were more concerned with those ideas. So if a woman was raped, her chances of finding a man to marry her were very low. At least not a Hebrew man. You know, she could probably go marry a Gentile or some other man, or not a Gentile, but a man of another culture. But her chances of marrying a Hebrew man were very low, and so her security was very low. Her future security was low. So I hope this video gives you some insight as to why the women of that time, they didn't see it as they didn't see it as a penalty onto them. They saw it as a security, because like I said, women of that time, they didn't have our level of superficialness or luxury in picking a mate. They were more concerned about their financial welfare. And if you're an atheist, you can't necessarily say that rape is objectively wrong. I mean, if you look at nature around us, rape happens all the time. And as creatures ourselves, without any free will, our minds are based off of the chemical reactions that happen in our head, we have those who commit rape are just acting on natural instincts. It's not really objectively wrong. And and they don't have any foundation, you know, because it happens in nature as well. Nature isn't nature doesn't justify anything at all. So I hope this video gave you some insight as to why the Bible mentions rape the way it does in the Bible. And I pray for you guys. God bless.